right. Good morning, Morgan County. Woohoo! It's time for our Positive Podcast from the Morgan County Partnership with our hosts. I'm Mrs. Hott, the Positive Actions and Digital Media Facilitator. Today's podcast is called, what shall we call it, Sheima? Positive Actions for Emotional Wellness. Humility holds the heart. And empathy. We're also going to talk about empathy today, too.
Hola, es hora de acción positiva. Hi community, I am Mrs. Sheima, Morgan County Partnership, Positive Actions, and Digital Media Facilitator. In today's Positive Podcast, it's called Acciones Positivas para Bienestar Emocional. Humildad abraza corazones.
Oh, thank you, Miss Sheima. And welcome, neighbors. The Morgan County Partnership joins you weekly for an exciting look at positive programs, news, features, all things to help build empathy, foster core values, health, and family wellness in our homes, in our communities, our school families, and around the world.
Whether you are 2 or 92, it's new Partnership Positive Podcast. We will feature fun and exciting information to help you manage and balance life here in West Virginia and beyond.
We are ready today to discover a new core value word. We talk about a new core value every week that helps us to build a network of neighbors all coming together in our community, for our parents, our teachers, our administrators, people outside the school, all coming together to get through another day using core values and resources to help us all stay connected and meet our needs. Right, Sheima? Are you ready?
Yes. Let's get started.
All right, neighbors. Today's Positive Podcast is called Positive Actions for Emotional Wellness. Humility holds the heart. All righty. Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, you can also watch the podcast on our Positive Action YouTube channel, too. And it's available on SoundCloud as well. So today, guys, Miss Sheima and I, we're going to chat about some emotional wellness tools as we launch into our next chapter on core values and education that feature the golden rule, or fruits of the spirit, which sometimes you might hear it called too. This week, we're talking about our core value word, humility, and we're also going to add empathy in there too, right, Miss Sheima? Can you tell us a little bit, Miss Sheima, what is humility, and can you also say it in Spanish?
Oh, sure. Humility in Spanish is humildad and means the ability to consider others ahead of yourself. En español significa la habilidad de considerar a otros antes que a ti.
All right, we'll cut back in there. That's right. Thank you, Sheima. For all ages, chatting about positive actions and core values with the community is an effort today to build a better tomorrow by developing core values and positive personality traits, right?
Awesome. Here we go. Positive actions for emotional wellness. Humility holds hearts. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun. Thank you, Sheima. Sheima and I are going to talk about a very beautiful core value word, and it's often referred to as fruits of the spirit. This week, our content comes from an article that I saw from All Pro Dads and iMOM. It's an online blog about motherhood and community. Miss Sheima, are you ready?
We are ready. Yes, Yes, Mrs. Hott, I am ready. And get ready, friends. From iMOM, Mrs. Hott and I will first talk about what humility means. Then the blog post shares 10 ways to teach humility to children.
Okay, thank you, Sheima. Humility is the quality of being humble. And in our virtual lessons in the classroom this week, we got to share some great videos with children talking about the word humble. And it's difficult, I think, for kids in a world where there's so much social media. What do you think, Sheima? Yeah. When you're looking at digital media a lot, and even in middle school, kids are like it's hard to teach humble because you're looking for more likes on your phone, right? More subscribers on your YouTube channel. Everybody wants more. But being humble and we've also been talking in the classroom on our virtual lessons about putting the needs of other people before your own needs. And that's kind of hard to do because right now in this me society, it's I'm going to take care of me, and who cares what happens to my neighbor, right? I have to do this because I got to take care of me first. But as a community to come together, we need to consider our neighbors and their needs too. And if somebody needs something, we need to be able to reach out and help them and be humble because, someday that golden rule, someday I need help too. So we help each other, and that's what's going to build our better community and better world. It also means that being humble, you don't draw attention to yourself all the time, and which is another hard thing, right, Sheima? Because what do you see when you're out and about? Or I'm learning about Snapchat.
TikTok. Oh.
Yeah, and TikTok too. And it's all these kids, all these pictures on their media where they're going like this, and I'm like, whoa. And some of them, like, I see them normally, and then I see what they put on their social media, and it's like, oh, please be humble. Not just in the pictures, the digital stuff they present, but yeah, Sheima, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think that everything started when we were super little because we were trying to get their proof from outside instead from inside. So
there you go.
We are always trying to get like the reward from outside instead of working in ourselves and doing something because we want to do it. It's not because we want to share it to the world.
Exactly. And you know what? I guess, like you said, I never thought about it that way. If sort of what all of these apps have done, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, you get clicks and likes and subscribers, and that's your reward. And look how many numbers there, look how many hearts I have. And instead of looking inside yourself and saying, hey, I'm unique just like I am, and it doesn't matter how many times I get a heart or a like or whatever. I'm probably not using the right digital media terms.
Oh no,
but positive action, it's the thoughts, actions, and feelings, right? And if we can encourage humility in our students and in our community, I feel like it just lays a platform and for others to then, even at a young age, and when they're in the classroom, show that they care for others.
And another thing about humility, it's we are open to listen when we don't feel that we are better than others. So we are open to learn from another person, from another culture, from another history, because we are not feeling I am better than you. Well, I have humility, so I'm open to listen to other stories.
Right. And what you just said, Sheima, last week we were talking about respect, right? And respect is acknowledging someone else's traditions, their culture, their ideas, their beliefs, respecting somebody else, right? Their differences, right? Respecting their differences. And then next we build on respect with humility and empathy, where we try to care for that person as if their experience is ours. And if you have a need that I don't, if I have humility and empathy, then I'm going to care and I'm going to try to help everybody meet their needs. Oh man,
that's the way to everybody's going to feel valuable, because if I share a story and somebody's listening to me and they are valuing my emotions and everything that I'm telling them, and they are giving me the time, I'm going to feel valuable. So I don't need a reward, just that person is going to listen to me. That's the reward that I need, instead of sharing in social media a sexy picture.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh my goodness, some of the things I see that they're wearing, I'm like, oh my golly, don't put that picture on there. But what you said makes so much more sense, because if you're showing empathy and humility for others and making that person feel valuable, you know what you might do? That might be the exact thing that person needed. If they're feeling sad that day, they might go, well, Sheima cares about me, and it gives me hope for one more day,
Maybe that person is going to do it to another person.
Oh,
so that's give us to the first thing that it's in iMOM that they are saying for kids, modeling. So if we model to our kids how we listen, how we respect them, how we show them humility, they are going to do it to another little kid, to another person, to us.
That's where we start, with us doing it first. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at these. Their positive actions for humility. Okay. And I feel like if as a community we talk about them, then it'll help us help others be empathetic and respectful of everyone. Mm-hmm. Different than ourselves. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned modeling first. It says here from iMOM. And I'll read just ahead of that. It says, humility is a close associate to gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. It's an attribute that simply oozes class, right? Here are 10 ways to teach humility to our kids. And they're from the blog, like we said, iMOM and All Pro Dads. Sheima mentioned the first one, modeling. It says, never underestimate the power of teaching through example, right? Humility must be consistently modeled as a lifestyle, not an on again, off again example, like today I'm going to model, but tomorrow I won't, right? So modeling, how do you do that in like with your house, Sheima? How do you model humility?
Humility, that we were talking about this, like listening, having valuable to their emotions, saying I'm here for you. And sometimes we always think, oh, parents, we are always right because we are older and we know more about the life. But kids, they can teach us a lot. They can give us an entire new world. And being humble with them, we are gonna grow up at the same time. So that's the way. Like, thanks to Itaka, I'm learning a lot of things because she teaches me. Even she's almost 3 now, but if she brings that curiosity, I'm like, oh, let's talk about hippos and let's learn about rhinos and dinosaurs. I never thought about that. Let's learn together. So that's the things that we can do with them.
And when you stop and learn about hippos, it makes her feel valuable, right? It makes her feel important. You know, a lot of times here in my house, I don't have toddlers anymore, but sometimes I forget, and you know, I have a lot to learn in my kitchen. You know, I have a fella in my house, he's 16 and he loves to cook and bake. And sometimes he wants to do something different than the way I've done it for 56 years. And I'm like, well, I've never heard of that before. What in the world is, you know, I'm like, and just yesterday, Levi made brioche. I don't even know if I'm saying bread, wonderful bread over the weekend. And we were like, let's make French toast for breakfast from this bread. Now if I'm going to make French toast, I just get a piece of bread from the bag at the store. But I never heard that French toast was made from brioche, this other kind of bread. So, you know, I learned so much just by listening. And you know, sometimes all of us in the kitchen, I just step back and I go, I mean, at first I'm like, I got it. I felt like I needed to do it all because I'm the mom. That's what I'm supposed to do. But when you listen and I learn, and I'm like, okay, well, they want to do this. Because it's different than the way I grew up doing, doesn't mean it's wrong, right? It's just a new way to make French toast.
And that's wonderful because you are open to learn something new that they are teaching you. And that's take us to the second point, building them up.
Build them up.
Everything is connecting.
You're right. You're so right. Build them up. We had that French toast, you know, we were celebrating because it came out great, you know. It says it might sound counterintuitive, but it's important to understand that humility always comes from a position of belief, strength, and self-assurance. Build them up. How can we build up our children to show humility and to be empathetic citizens in our community? We can encourage them, and when they do something, we can recognize it. What's a good way to recognize their values when they are empathetic and show humility and humble?
We just talk about this too, like just listening to them and value what they are doing. Like I'm always talk about Itaka because that's the person that I'm living with.
That's your baby.
Yeah, if she comes with a picture and it's all with circles, I will be like, oh, look all the circles that you did. You're gonna feel so proud of you. something like
Right.
this. That so she's gonna feel good, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna try in more circles instead of saying this just circles, blah. You have to paint a house. Imagine, like.
Oh gosh, right. Teenagers in my house, I'll share an illustration about Isaac, and there's a little backstory to go with it, Shane. And this is pretty cool. Isaac likes music. His favorite musician is John Mayer. And the other morning, he was showing me like a lot of John Mayer's getting ready to do some new songs, and so there are all these Instagram thingies, and we were looking at them, and one of them, John Mayer was coming into the studio, and there were two dogs. There was a white lab and a black lab, and John Mayer was playing, and his new song was going, and I was watching with Isaac, and I went, "Aw, dogs," and that's all I said. And Isaac, he's twice my size. He reaches over and he just puts his arm around me, and he said, "Oh, Mom, I know." And then I went, "Oh, yeah." I mean, that was empathy. I mean, and he was showing humility for me. He put his self in my shoes. And I tell you what, and you know what I told him, and it was words that you told me, Sheima. I said, Isaac, that illustration of empathy for Mom, your mom, I'm proud. I said, you should be proud of that display that you gave to your mom. That's how I tried to do it like we were talking, and in all our things about humility, because neighbors, the reason this makes sense is just like the day before, this was Friday, and the day before, our lab of 14 years, Hershey boy, he just passed away, a very old, very loved dog, and it was about a week where we knew it was coming. And Isaac said, "Oh, Mom, I wasn't even thinking that might make you sad." And he was expressing to me that, but I was like, no, I felt so happy for that hug, because he got in his mom's shoes, and he knew exactly how I was feeling, because he lost his family pet too. And things around you see, can trigger things that are an opportunity, right, to show empathy for someone else. And when we listen, like you said earlier, when we listen and when we watch, instead of looking for all those likes and subscribers, when we're really engaged, it's you're going to make those connections and beautiful things happen. I'll never forget that, when Isaac's an adult and long back, I'm going to say, remember that John Mayer dog Instagram he showed me the day after she passed? I'm like, oh, it was pretty sweet. So does that make sense? Build them up. So and build them up and encourage them. Number 3, encourage and help them to be the very best they can be, no matter what they do. Well, in that illustration, Isaac did something pretty positive, and it really made me happy. But I thought at the time how proud that I was, and I wanted to let him know. So I said to him, what you just did to me is something I hope you're proud, because that was a really beautiful gesture. So, and he's a boy, pretty cool. What's our next one? Humiliate.
Make sure they understand where their real value comes from.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like you said, Sheima, not the number of likes or whatever on their post are, but on that they're unique. And for our children, that their value is who they are, that they're here each day, is better, because they're part of your family. And even outside, others, friends, make sure everyone knows that they're valuable.
Yeah, it's not our phone, it's not our clothes, it's not the things that we have. It's just us.
I thought this was a good point. I want to share this. It says it's easier to sidestep pride or arrogance when children understand that they are valued simply because they are your child. Okay. Because you're not only because they win the race, have the prettier mom or the smarter dad, earn a higher income, or score the most points. That's not what is important. And I try to say this, even my kids. It's not about your 4.0 or your A or whatever. It's what'd you learn along the way, right? And what, especially, what, Sheima? This year's been crazy as far as school goes. I know a lot of people are worried. My kid used to get all A's, and now because of school and because of this, they're not. It's like, And we talked about it. We're like, don't value that grade this year. This is a different year, right? Definitely. It's not all about that. I don't value your win. I value your you. And when we can just enjoy our company and not have to always be, I mean, sure, we celebrate silly stuff. Levi just got his license, so we were like, woohoo, let's get sushi. Or
that's
no, we didn't
not
get sushi.
silly. That's amazing.
Yeah. But is it? I mean, hundreds of kids get their driver's license, and we had a special dinner. But what's more important, that we did it together. And something I'll always remember: he was my youngest to ever get, and my last of 4 to get his driver's license. And during a pandemic, when I had to sit in the car and be with him. And you know what? This is interesting. These days, okay, now Ithaca's 3. It'll be a long time before she gets her driver's license, but with the pandemic now, in West Virginia and maybe other communities, you have to sit with them because the tester's not in the car, and you're not allowed. The parent guardian can't talk. And so it was really, for me, it was a hard lesson for me, because as he was driving, I had to let him fail. I'm like, oh, he's going to blow it. And 2 times he failed his test. And it's like, if I could just say, oh, Levi, do this, or turn now, or because that parallel parking, got him twice. Or look out, you're going to hit the pole. But I wasn't allowed to talk. If I talked, it was an automatic failure, and they watch in the mirror, they watch your face. So I'm like this, and I had to sit on my hands because it kept me concentrating on don't say anything, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't say a word. But being in that car as he was taking a test, and I knew he blew it, but I couldn't correct it. I couldn't help him because he was taking a test, was difficult. And I think in a way it was humbling too, because his brother got the first time, yay, and it's like, I want Levi to get it too, because then they'll go home and then they'll tease him, and if he doesn't, but he had to fail. And as we left after each time, I said, Levi, I'm glad you failed, because now it's going to help you when you're in a situation and driving, figure out what to do, because I'm not always going to be in that seat. Telling him, turn now, watch out, you're going to hit. And he's got to figure out, well, it's going to be so hard to do it on his own, Yeah, that was hard. I lost my train of thought. The next one, never humiliate your kids. Oh, golly, that's good. Don't belittle them. That stuff sticks around. And that could have happened, oh, you didn't pass. I can't believe you missed that. Because the day before he did his test, I mean, he was parallel parking when we were practicing down there. But no, instead, it doesn't help. Makes them feel bad. Never humiliate.
Sometimes parents, maybe they think, if I tell to my kids this, it's gonna get better. Like, I can't believe you failed that test. I will do it better if I was you. That's not the way to raise a kid with a self-esteem, with a positive self-esteem.
Right. And then they go and do it to their friends. Oh, look what you did. No.
Yeah, it's better to say, okay, you're learning from mistakes. We're gonna grow up. I'm here for you. We're in this together. Mommy and daddy are here.
Right, exactly.
You're not alone. And we're going to go through this together. Just try it again.
Starts in a family, right, guys? Yes. Starts in a family. And if we can help kids do this in our families, then when they're with their school community or their jobs, that's where it begins. Okay, number 6 says, expose your child to great teachers and their stories. Whoa. We're recording the end of March here, and for March and February, Sheima and I on the PositivePodcast, on the Positive Action Program, we shared a number of stories from great women in history, and that was pretty cool. And just by talking about some of the things that other people were able to do using positive actions, I think it's inspiring, right? Exposing them to all kinds of great stories. What do you do to expose Ithaca to great teachers and other people?
Well,
Other
Itaka, she's living in 3 different cultures. My mom is from Morocco. My dad is from Algeria. Pedro, I was born in Spain. Pedro is from Spain. She was born here. So she's exposed to different countries around the world and different kind of cultures and religions. So I think that's the way to have kids with open mind and no judgment for another different people than them.
And like we talked about last week, respect, you consider someone else's traditions, religions, beliefs, and values as important and valuable, and exposing to such a variety. And then how blessed we are, because we get to hear here in Little Berkeley Springs all about all of these places that just you and Ithaca are sharing with us. And what a blessing that is, right? That's so cool. And in a way, Sheima, that makes you my story. Sheima's my inspiration, right?
You are my inspiration too. So, and how you do it with your kids?
I like let's see, a lot of the things. I'm thinking of something now when I see great teachers. This isn't anybody who's really famous, at all. She's not famous at all. But having just Levi gone through to get his driver's license, something that my mom's mom always said, my grandmother, which I think she's a great teacher and a great story, is that as long as you can read, you'll never be lost. And I thought, that's pretty cool. And that's something I've told all of our kids for, Katie's 31. As long as you can read, you'll never be lost. So let's read. But reading that, it made me never afraid to go anywhere, because I thought, well, I can read. I can find my way back or find someplace else. So I thought that was a great teacher. The word of Edith Daniels, that's my grandmother's name, Edith Blanche Royston Daniels. She says, as long as you can read, you'll never get lost. And the other thing she said was, all roads lead to Hancock, Maryland. I don't know about that, but I guess I've thought about that for years. Sort of, kind of, I guess they do, but but you're not always going to Hancock, of course. Well, she said that because that's where she lived, in Hancock. So anyway, the next one says, teach your children to serve. Teach them to serve. That shows humility for others. That's a beautiful, beautiful lesson. Teaching, and it also is a lesson in empathy when we teach them to serve. What does that mean, Sheima?
Teach them to help everybody, because we live in a community. One of the things that I'm learning in how to raise a toddler in a positive way, they were talking about how we can encourage the kids to do things in the house, like cleaning and picking up their toys. And this sentence really changed my mind, because sometimes when I'm like, Itaka, hey, let's pick up your toys, sometimes she's like, no. But they always say, Mom. Yeah, they always say, like, we can give them like 2 options, or doing it like in a game. So, hey, you want to pick up your toys by yourself, or you want to pick up your toys with mommy singing this song? So always they have like these 2 options, because that's the word, like how their brain is working. And the way that when she finished, I'm like, hey, you did it, Itaka. Now all your Legos, they're in the bucket, and we can walk safe in the living room. Thank you. So that's the way that we teach her to help the house, because we all live in here, and it's more safe if we don't have Legos around the house.
There you go.
Explaining to them what they are doing and how contributed to the family and in the house.
And what a beautiful way to be mindful too, because what a lesson. It's mindfulness. You're picking up your toys as you're doing them. You're making the environment safe for your house, so you don't step on a Lego, fall and hit your head and roll down the steps, or whatever. It could happen, right? Teaching them to serve. That thank you, Sheima. I love that.
I love that too.
And it kind of like, hey, did I do that? I feel like I should start all over again. It's like, oh my, that give them the 2 examples, and then it gives them some control too.
Yeah.
And in a community too, you take that, it starts with the family, and then you take it, and then you eventually you talk about serving the homeless, serving the poor, and you mentioned family, and then you serve one another, right? Serve one another too. I was going to say something maybe after. The next one says, coach them on how to respond. What do you think that means? It says kids need to be taught to say please and thank you as much as they need to be taught to brush their teeth, to stay safe on the street. Don't get run over by a car, right? Say please and thank you. So why expect them to know humility without guidance? Here's an example. Look, Junior, that's a great job you did on your science fair project. You deserve to win the prize. Now, this is how you handle it in class tomorrow. Let's practice saying thanks. I like the way my friend Matt did his project too. I don't think I could have won without the help of my teacher. So the idea is, like, if your child has a success at school, it's like, well, you should have run that. You were the best in the class. That's not the reinforcement we want. Again, we want to coach them to say, I earned this. I was awarded this because I had the help from my teacher. So be sure to say thank you for helping me reach this goal. Just recently, Levi's applying for a scholarship for a class he wants to take. And I actually said, he's leaving this morning, be sure to, and he needs something from the counselor at school. I said, don't go in and say, hey, where's my transcript? Because I was afraid he would do that. Can you believe that? I said, instead say, hey, thank you for helping me with this, because if you can help me get my transcript, then I can apply for my deposit, and I just need your guidance right now. So we coach them on how to respond, and like even the guy who gave Levi his test, and he was so nervous, he just like wouldn't talk, and the guy was like, whoa. And I'm like, the second time we went in, I said, Levi, it'll help if you said, thank you, I'm ready to do a better job today. And then after the second time, the instructor gave him tips. So I coached him again and said, hey, when you go back, you might want to say to the instructor, I really appreciate those tips you gave me. So coaching on how to respond with thank you and gratitude makes the world a difference. And sometimes it's difficult because back to when kids are on their media, they don't talk, So now more than ever, coach them on how to communicate, right?
And everything starts with modeling. If we say to our kids,
yeah, there you go.
Thank you for picking up your toys. Thank you for helping at home. They are going to bring this back to other people that they connect with.
And you're so right, Sheima. It all comes back to modeling. Our final 2 tips are teach them how to apologize and teach them to give thanks, okay? And like you said, if we do it, then that models that behavior, coaching and doing it ourselves.
Itaka, she does that, and Pedro and I, we are like, I'm a big fan of Itaka, let me tell you this. I can be hours talking about her, but Pedro and I, we are like super surprised and how she reacts. Sometimes like she's playing and maybe she's running around the house and she like maybe hit me or something because she was running. She's like, oh, mommy, I'm so sorry. And then she said, sorry. And I was like, oh, thank you for saying sorry. Like, I'm okay, thanks, but be careful. And that's it. And sometimes like we give her a snack or something. She's like, thank you, mama. Thank you, papa. So I think because we do it with her. So that starts with everything with modeling and humility. We have to say thank you to our kids, not because they're humans too. And sometimes we're like, oh, we're not going to say thank you. They're not going to understand. They're not going to feel it. They're too young or something like this. But that's humility. We even if we are older than them, they're going to appreciate our thankful and our sorry and our apologize.
Right. You're never too young and you're never too old.
Yes. One day this story happened, I was so mad with Itaka because she peed in the couch. She was potty training. No. And I felt so bad. And I yelled to her. I was like, go right now to the bathroom. And then I feel super bad because I don't want to yell. And then I went to her and told her, I'm so sorry, Itaka. Mommy was so exhausted and frustrated because, now we have to clean the couch. I'm so sorry. And she was like, that's okay, mama. And she hugged me and she gave me a kiss.
Oh.
So even sometimes we are parents and we can't control everything, but we are modeling because we are human. I can't be the positive mom 100% 24 hours, 7 days a week. And sometimes I lose myself too. But if I teach her, I'm human, I'm sorry for yelling to you. Mommy's here for you, so sorry. I'm teaching her sometimes it's okay to say sorry because we can't be perfect all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. That's so right. So neighbors, that's such a great story. Thanks for telling us that, Sheima. You guys, you're not perfect. It's okay to mess up sometimes. We all do, we're chatting about things. It makes me feel better to hear Sheima's stories because I mess up too, and you out there too in your house, you guys know what's going on. Don't think you have to be, like Sheima said, 100% perfect 7 days a week. 20. We're not. Nobody is.
No.
Nobody is. Give yourself a break, right?
We are learning.
We're all learning to, and tomorrow's another day to do it better and to learn from what you did yesterday, isn't it? Oh, for sure. Well, we're gonna get going. We'll get ready, and neighbors, if there's anything you guys have you want to chat about, you can reach out to ahottfamily@gmail.com. You can find us on positivevaluesnetwork.com. Positive values each week for K through 12, pre-K through 12, actually. So how about that, Sheima? Let's see. Are you ready to find that?
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today, community. Hey, neighbors from 2 to 92, young and old. It's been fun podcasting with you today. We hope you find some positive actions out in the world this week. Bye.
Thank you, Sheima. Remember, parents, teachers, and kids alike, all right, you're not alone, okay? We are one community. You are all unique, each one of you. You are important, and you are wonderfully made. Yes, you are. Thanks for joining us on Positive Actions for Emotional Wellness. Humility holds the heart. Go out there this week, guys. Show some positive action for humility and have empathy for your community. Okay, for your neighbors.
Bye.
All right.